Nothing dramatic happened. That's exactly how it looked in the months before 2008. That's how it looked before 2001. And that's how it looks again now. The paycheck arrived on time, the balance looked manageable, the minimum payment went through. But the numbers stopped improving. In the United States, credit card debt is now above $1 trillion, higher than it was before the last financial crisis. At the same time, credit card delinquencies are at their highest level in more than a decade, not exploding, rising steadily. This is the combination that always comes first. Balances go up, payments stretch, interest absorbs more cash flow, rent clears, utilities clear, groceries clear. The credit card clears too, technically, but barely. This is not a recession. This is not a crash. This is the stage that comes before people are forced to change behavior. As the U.S. economy moves toward 2026, it is doing so with record revolving debt and shrinking household flexibility. There is no panic yet, no market signal yet, no agreement that anything is wrong, nothing broke today. But this is the condition every downturn requires. When people talk about recessions, they point to charts, indexes falling, GDP slowing, unemployment ticking up. But by the time those signals appear, the adjustment is already well underway. Markets don't lead downturns. They react to them. Economic stress begins long before prices fall, inside household balance sheets. It begins when debt stops shrinking, when balances stop moving down and start hovering, when minimum payments replace progress. That shift doesn't register on trading screens. It doesn't show up in GDP, and it doesn't immediately affect employment, but it changes behavior. In the U.S., consumption holds up longest not because households are strong, but because credit absorbs the pressure first. Statements record what markets can't see yet. Interest becomes the fastest growing expense. Cash flow tightens without collapsing. Flexibility disappears before confidence does. This is why early stress never looks like a crisis. It looks like resilience. People keep spending. Bills still get paid. The economy appears stable. But stability built on revolving debt is not growth. It's delay. Credit cards are not long-term financing tools. They are short-term bridges. And when more income goes towards servicing past purchases, those bridges stop leading forward. Nothing breaks all at once. The system tightens. This is the phase where most observers relax. Employment still looks solid. Consumption still holds up. Markets remain confident because the damage isn't visible yet. It's recorded quietly, one statement at a time. And that's why the economy can look fine right up until behavior is forced to change. From the outside, nothing suggests a problem. Employment remains strong, wages haven't collapsed, spending continues, airports are busy, restaurants are full, holiday sales arrive on schedule. This is why the dominant narrative feels reasonable. If people are still buying, the economy must be healthy. If jobs are available, stress must be isolated. If markets aren't falling, risk must be contained. This logic has worked before, often enough to feel reliable. But it also appeared in the final stages of previous cycles. Households adapt. They stretch payments. They shift balances. Credit absorbs the pressure and hides it. In the U.S., consumer spending now relies more on revolving credit than income growth. That keeps demand visible, but fragile. To most observers, this looks like strength. Consumption holds, revenues hold, growth models stay intact. And in a narrow sense, they're not wrong. The system is still functioning. Transactions are clearing. No major institution is under visible stress. But credit doesn't measure confidence. It measures necessity. When spending is sustained by revolving balances rather than expanding margins, the signal changes. Not abruptly, quietly. This is the phase where optimism lasts the longest, because nothing has forced a correction yet. The visible economy still looks fine, the balance sheet economy is tightening, and the gap between the two is where downturns actually take shape. Credit cards break before everything else because they sit at the point of maximum flexibility. They are not tied to a single asset. They don't have fixed schedules set decades in advance. They reprice immediately. In the U.S., average credit card interest rates now exceed 20%. Minimum payments adjust quietly. Balances carry forward without friction. This makes credit cards efficient. It also makes them fragile. When costs rise, households don't default instantly. They revolve. A higher balance absorbs groceries. A higher balance absorbs insurance. A higher balance absorbs expenses that used to be covered by cash flow. At first, nothing looks wrong. The payment clears. The account stays open. Credit remains available. But the structure changes. More of each payment now goes to interest. Less reduces the principal. Progress slows without stopping. This is where pressure concentrates. Unlike mortgages or auto loans, credit cards transmit tightening in real time. Variable rates pass monetary policy directly into household budgets. A balance that once declined month after month becomes persistent. What felt temporary turns structural. This doesn't appear in GDP. It doesn't show up in employment data. It doesn't trigger warnings. It accumulates. As balances grow, spending doesn't stop immediately. It degrades. Households narrow choices. They delay purchases. They trade quality for price. The economy continues to function, but its tolerance for shock erodes. This is why credit cards crack first. They are the earliest system where tightening becomes unavoidable, where stress is recorded long before it is acknowledged. By the time other indicators respond, this layer has already absorbed the strain. When credit cards begin to strain, the cost doesn't stay isolated. It moves. Households feel it first. Discretion narrows. Small expenses get questioned. Large ones get postponed. Spending doesn't collapse. It compresses. From the outside, demand still exists. Inside, it's being rationed. Banks see the shift next. In the U.S., credit card delinquencies rise gradually. Not as defaults, but as delays. Minimum payments stretch. Interest revenue increases. Risk builds without forcing immediate action. This is why stress can grow without triggering alarms. Retailers feel it after that. Customers trade down. Discounts stop being temporary. Promotions become permanent. Margins thin. Nothing breaks at once. This is not a shock. It's a cascade. Each layer absorbs pressure and passes it forward, quietly, rationally. No one acts irrationally in this phase. Households protect cash flow. Banks protect portfolios. Businesses protect volume. The system keeps functioning because everyone adjusts. But adjustments have limits. As more income goes towards servicing past purchases, less is available for future demand. Flexibility erodes. Optional spending disappears. This is how stress spreads without panic, without headlines, without a single breaking point, just a growing share of the economy operating without margin. And that's when resilience stops being theoretical. At this stage, two interpretations compete. The first is familiar. This is temporary. A delayed effect of higher rates. Consumers will adjust. Balances will stabilize. Wages will catch up. Pressure will ease. From this view, rising credit card stress is noise, a distortion in an otherwise functional economy, something to monitor, not something to fear. History offers examples where this was true. But those examples shared one condition. Pressure peaked and then reversed. The second interpretation is quieter. Credit cards don't lead cycles by accident. They respond where monetary policy, prices, and real cash flow collide. When this layer tightens, it signals that flexibility is already gone. Not confidence, not sentiment, flexibility. From this view, what looks like resilience is delay. The system continues to move, but with diminishing capacity to absorb shocks. Both interpretations are rational. Both have historical precedent. What separates them is not belief, it's duration. If pressure fades, the system resets. If it persists, behavior changes. Spending slows without collapsing. Risk accumulates without panic. Fragility builds without headlines. This is where cycles decide their direction. Not when markets fall, not when headlines turn, but when strain either releases or compounds. Systems rarely fail where people are looking. They fail at the edges, in places designed to absorb pressure quietly. Credit cards exist to provide flexibility. When they stop doing that, the signal matters. Not because collapse is guaranteed, but because optionality is already being spent. At this stage, nothing forces an immediate decision. There is no alarm, no single breaking point, no moment that demands action. The economy continues to function, jobs remain, markets trade, life moves on. But underneath, more income is already committed, more future choices are pre-decided, more resilience has already been consumed. That part does not reverse easily. This is why the earliest signals are easy to dismiss. They don't demand action. They demand awareness. Cycles don't announce themselves. They reveal themselves through patterns that repeat. Statements tightening. Flexibility shrinking. margins disappearing before outcomes change. For most people, this only becomes visible later, after adjustments are no longer optional and behavior has already been forced. But the system always leaves a trace. If you're watching where pressure first accumulates, you're not predicting a collapse. You're recognizing the point where the cycle has already begun to decide. And that's why this moment matters.